Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you are the kind of person who constantly leaves your friends half a block behind in the dust on the sidewalk, or, maybe you're trying to figure out why your partner practically weaves through crowded grocery store aisles like a literal Olympic skier, you are in the exact right place. We all know that incredibly specific frustration of walking with someone who prefers a leisurely, meandering stroll, while your legs just desperately want to move. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating psychological blueprint behind the kinetic mind. Basically, the deeply wired subconscious reasons why some of us absolutely cannot walk slowly. And trust me, the real reason is definitely not what you think.
Have you ever been told by exasperated friends or coworkers to just slow down? Getting the classic, "Where's the fire?" or "Relax, we have plenty of time." Look, it happens constantly to fast walkers. You're out there adopting this brisk, marching pace everywhere you go, even when you aren't actually in a rush to get anywhere. But the social friction this causes is very real. To everyone else, looking at your stride from the outside, they make snap judgments. They assume you're perpetually running late, that you're incredibly impatient, highly stressed out, or perhaps just inherently rude and totally incapable of relaxing for a single second.
But psychology tells us a completely different story. Okay, let's dive into this. It's not just about being in a hurry, and it is certainly not about a lack of manners. Walking extremely fast is actually a profound behavioral manifestation of how your brain processes stress and navigates its environment. It acts as an unconscious survival tactic, a deeply ingrained coping mechanism that actually helps you manage the world around you. Understanding this dynamic is honestly like finding the missing puzzle piece to your most ingrained daily habits.
The foundation of this behavior begins with the concept of unpredictable transitional spaces. Just think about what it physically feels like when you are moving between point A and point B. You're stepping into an entirely uncontrolled environment. It's inherently chaotic. Imagine the sensory overload of a crowded subway platform at rush hour, or a noisy downtown sidewalk full of tourists, or a busy airport terminal. There are sudden, erratic movements, random loud noises, and obstacles popping up without any warning whatsoever. Well, the subconscious mind of a fast walker looks at these messy, overstimulating in-between zones and actively seeks to minimize the time spent within them. Your brain feels the vulnerability of all that chaos and essentially demands that you hit the fast-forward button to get back to safety.
So, let's get into layer 1, craving environmental control.
We're peeling back the layers of this behavior, moving from that external physical movement right into the first deep psychological drive, which is the intense need for control. Because the outside world can feel so incredibly unpredictable and messy, dictating your own brisk pace actually gives you a micrograb for control in a situation where you otherwise have absolutely none. By moving quickly, you're creating a little physical bubble of autonomy. You are suddenly navigating through heavy crowds entirely on your own terms. Instead of being a passive participant in the sheer chaos of your surroundings, your speed turns the environment into a manageable situation that's entirely under your command. You dictate the flow rather than letting the flow dictate you.
Moving right along to layer 2, the discomfort of stillness.
Now, what's really interesting about this is when we go deeper internally, we find a literal physical feeling associated with stopping. As the saying goes, lingering in the in-between feels unproductive and mentally irritating. For the fast walker, moving slowly or standing still physically feels intensely uncomfortable. It's best understood as a feeling of unresolved tension. Compare it to the feeling of leaving a complex puzzle half-finished on the table or being forced to stop typing a super important email mid-sentence. Just as unresolved issues stay active in a problem solver's mind and force them to take quick action, your brain is just wired to keep you moving forward. To the fast walker, slowness isn't relaxing. It's active, unresolved tension. It's profoundly irritating.
Which brings us to layer 3, walking away from anxiety.
This leads us right into the emotional layer, where we see speed walking act as an incredible natural pressure valve for a highly stressed nervous system. Step 1 often starts totally internally. Your mind is racing with anxious thoughts or just the overwhelming demands of the day. Step 2 happens almost automatically. You adopt a brisk walking pace. This physical exertion literally metabolizes the nervous energy from that racing mind. Your muscles are burning off the cortisol and adrenaline that your brain is generating. And step 3, through that kinetic release, you actually regain your emotional balance. It is remarkably similar to how repetitive physical tasks, like vigorously scrubbing your kitchen counters or organizing a messy closet, can actually calm your nervous system down during a period of emotional overload. The physical momentum basically acts as an emotional exhaust pipe.
Next up is layer 4, preventing overthinking loops. And this brilliantly illustrates how physical speed acts as a literal shield against your mind's worst habits of rumination. Think about it. When you stroll slowly, your mind has vast amounts of empty space to wander. That idle time is exactly when the brain easily slips and gets stuck in negative overthinking loops. Replaying awkward conversations from 3 years ago or obsessively worrying about an uncertain future. But when you adopt an intense driving pace, the physical demand of navigating the space literally crowds out that mental noise. You have to focus on the terrain, the people, the path. That physical demand leaves absolutely no room for your brain to scan for possible social mistakes or dwell on anxiety. It is, quite literally, self-medication through momentum.
And finally, layer 5, action over potential.
We now arrive at the deepest layer of the psychological blueprint, revealing the ultimate cognitive framework of the fast walker. So the crucial point is that we are looking at two very different mentalities here. On one hand, you have the planner. This mentality might stay entirely in the planning phase, constantly theorizing, because they secretly fear the reality of failure, or they're just addicted to the safety of potential. They linger. On the other hand, you have the fast walker. Fast walking is the physical manifestation of a brain that prefers immediate, decisive action. Your brain shifts into a pure problem-solving mode that focuses entirely on what needs to be done next. You don't want to linger in theoretical potential. You treat the physical journey between point A and point B simply as an obstacle to be decisively overcome so you can get straight to the actual work.
Let's look at your psychological blueprint.
Ultimately, it's about how your mind regulates energy and learn to handle the world. If you relate to the cognitive and emotional layers we've unpacked today, I really want you to realize something incredibly empowering. Your speed isn't a character flaw. It's not rudeness, and it is certainly not just simple impatience. It is a brilliant, subconscious coping mechanism. It is simply the way your unique, active mind has figured out how to stay balanced, metabolize anxiety, and remain in control of an otherwise chaotic world.
So, what is your fast pace trying to solve today? The next time you find yourself practically running down the sidewalk, leaving everyone behind in your wake, ask yourself that question. Are you trying to establish a bubble of control? Are you physically burning off nervous anxiety? Or are you just eager to solve the next problem? Once you understand these psychological patterns, you start seeing everyday human behavior in a completely different, much more empathetic way. If you enjoyed this explainer and learned something new about yourself, make sure to subscribe for more insights that will completely transform how you see the world around you. Thanks for joining me, and hey, keep moving at your own pace.